You know, ladies and gentlemen, this movie we're going to be talking about has a distinction for many to be the worst rodent movie of all time. And I don't think you should blame the rodents. I think you should blame the people that tried to put together a good movie based on a H.G. Wells novel. But anyway, very strange. Now, H.G. Wells' The Food of the Gods, also billed as just The Food of the Gods, is a 1976 science fiction thriller film released by the Great American International Pictures and was written, produced, and directed by Burt I. Gordon. One of our followers of the channel said he saw it on a multiple feature. I think it was on a lot of double features and triple features and sometimes quadruple all-night features in that heady time between 76 and 78 where drive-ins were going towards their last. Now, The Food of the Gods starred, of all people, former evangelist or televangelist Marjorie Gorter, who could act, Pamela Franklin, Ralph Meeker, John Cipher, and of all people, the great director and actress Ida Lupino. The film was loosely based on a portion of the 1904 H.G. Wells novel, The Food of the Gods, and how it came to Earth. The film reduced Wells's tale to an ecology strikes back scenario, common in science fiction movies at the time. Michael Medved again gave it the Golden Turkey Award as the worst rodent movie of all time. Now, the food in question mysteriously bubbles up from the ground on a remote island somewhere in BC. Mr. and Mrs. Skinner, John McClime, and Ida Lupino consider a gift from the gods, or a god, and feed it to their chickens, which grow larger than humans as a result. Rats, wasps, and grubs also consume the substance, and the island becomes infested with giant vermin. One night, a swarm of giant rats kill Mr. Skinner after his car tire is punctured in the forest. Now, eventually, a professional football player named Morgan, played by Marjorie Gorter, is on the island for a hunting trip when one of them is stung to death by a giant wasp. After ferrying his friends back to the mainland, Morgan returns to investigate. Also thrown in the mix are Thomas and Rita, Thomas Stovall and Belinda Belaski, an expecting couple, Jack Bensington, Ralph Meeker, the owner of a dog food company, who hopes to market the substance, and Bensington's assistant Lorna, Pamela Franklin, a bacteriologist. After Morgan locates and dynamites a giant wasp of enormous nests, he and others become trapped in the Skinner's farmhouse, surrounded by the giant rats. Morgan's friends Brian, played by John Cipher, Bensington and Mrs. Skinner are killed by the rats. Like they're going to survive big rats. Mutant rats are much bigger than humans. Now, what's strange here, ladies and gentlemen, it had a U.S. release in June 1876, but only found its way to Japan in January, Philippines in March, and July in Finland. The box office of this, can you imagine? $1 million. Now, near the movie's conclusion, Morgan blows up a nearby dam, flooding the area and drowning the rats, whose size and weight were rendered unable to swim. After the waters clear, the survivors pile up the bodies of the rats, spilling the charge of FOTG and gasoline on them before burning them. However, several of Mrs. Skinner's jars of FOTG are swept away, drifting to a mainland farm. The substance is consumed by dairy cows, and in the film's closing scene, school children are shown unwittingly drinking the tainted milk, implying that we would also experience abnormal growth, setting up for a sequel which never occurred. Now, the film premiered on June 1876 in the States. Scream Factory eventually released the film for the first time on Blu-ray on May 26, 2015, as a double feature with, of course, that other classic, Frogs. Now, the movie was AAP's most successful release of the year, causing him to make a series of films based on H.G. Wells' novels. Now, Roger Ebert of Chicago Sun-Times gave the film 1 star out of 4. Vincent Canby of New York Times called the film a stunningly ridiculous mixture of science fiction and horror film cliches. Gene Siskel of Chicago Tribune gave the film 1/2 star out of 4 and wrote, "The heavy television ad campaign promises 6-foot roosters and panther-sized rats. What it should promise and true in labeling applied to film ads is rotten special effects and a laughable script." Arthur D. Murphy of Variety wrote, "Too much emphasis by Gordon on his good special effects combines with too little attention to his writing chores. Every player has done better before. This script is atrocious." Kevin Thomas of the LA Times wrote that the entire picture is a joke, unintentionally. Tom Milne of the monthly Film Bulletin called it a truly appalling piece of sci-fi horror in which the cretinous dialogue, hopefully illuminating the follies of human greed and tampering with nature, poses more of a hazard to the cast than a crudely animated giant wasp of a monster rat and cockerel head stiffly manipulated from the wings. That sums it up. Now, The Food of the Gods was nominated for the Best Horror Film by the Academy of Science Fiction, Fantasy, and Horror Films in the 76 Saturn Awards. Not a deep thing. It has a score of 18% on Rotten Tomatoes from 17 reviewers with an average score of 3.5 out of 10. By the way, I've never seen this movie, so I can't tell you if it's good or bad. All I know is different people that follow my channel would recognize this movie as atrocious because you're expecting more. It's a half-decent cast and a good concept, like, killer cows and killer rats. But in 2023, it would be probably much better. Sort of like a Sharknado involved with, H.G. Wells style plotting. A sequel, if only a name, entitled Food of the Gods 2, was released in '89. So, ladies and gentlemen, I can't rate this movie because I haven't seen it, but a lot of people who have seen it on the channel, let me know what you think. Give us a like, comment, subscribe, or share as we go along. And don't forget, requests are always highly accepted and always highly anticipated and considered. Thanks for listening. Bye.